Hello, my name is Erica Ross, and I have the absolute challenge of summing the Emerson Baer into a 60-second introduction. Now, I've known Emerson since the 7th grade, and let me assure you, the class of 2023 would not be the same without its shortest component. On any given day, you could spot her 4'11" self in the hallways by her bright yellow hookah sneakers and matching hydro flask that I'm pretty sure she cuddles with at night. Emerson is so much more than the yellow sneakers that she sports. She is more than kind, genuine, and extremely smart. All of this wrapped into one tiny package. I've had the privilege of getting to know her and being in a few of her classes over the years, and if there's one thing that I can say, it's that her laugh and smile are contagious. She never fails to light up the room, whether it be with her sneakers, water bottle, unique laugh, or bright smile. So without further delay, I give you Emerson Jane Baer.
Before I start, I'm going to let y'all in on something I don't typically like to admit. I hate not fitting in. And I really don't want to speak for anyone but myself, but after some pretty minimal research, I'm almost certain that the majority of you can relate with that in some way. Fitting in obviously looks different to everyone in this room, whether it be fitting into a certain group at school, with your club swim team, the other cast members of the play you're currently in, or the coworkers at your new job. I'm almost positive all of you have felt the need to fit in at some point in your life. When I was little, fitting in looked a little different to me than it may have to you. I grew up an only child, and for the majority of my life, I was raised by a single mom. So, fitting in meant being exactly like my mom. It meant being an adult. It meant anything she could do, I could do. When I was barely 3 years old, I had a toy pig that I adored, but it made the most obnoxious oink noise, and one day I'd played with this toy one too many times before my mom yelled from my bedroom, "Emerson, if that toy makes even one more noise, I'm going to come get it and take the batteries out so that you can never play with it again." My mom says that after 20 strangely silent minutes, I walked into her room, toy pig in one hand, 2 tiny AAA batteries in the other. I had unscrewed the battery cover with my fingernails. Anything she could do, I could do better. See, while this worked for a little while, I was only at home alone with my mom for so long until I had to start going to school with other kids. And as you can probably imagine, this pre-established identity of mini adult makes for the most annoying classmate. It meant being the biggest teacher's pet in the room at all times, and not only being the first to raise my hand to answer every question, but going the extra mile to find my teacher during recess to tattle my friends for being too out of control, instead of just playing along. And finally, it meant not quite getting along with the other 5-year-olds, except for maybe one other equally annoying girl who's in the same after-school Kumon classes as me. I had just figured out how to scrape by well enough when my mom pulled me out of my public school and sent me to St. Mary's. A totally different environment than my Gramwood STEAM history. This was going to be a challenge. Within the first quarter of 7th grade, I'd failed out of not only Miss Lytle's advanced math class and had to drop down levels in front of my entire class of straight A+ students, but also after an unlimited amount of illegal help from Miss Riley, still failed 7th grade English. Meaning from there on out, I would spend every single chapel alone with Miss Morini in her room learning to diagram sentences. Not going too well. Luckily, by the grace of God, Gracie Shy and Julie Van Hooser invited me to go to the beach with them for fall break. Step in the right direction, or at least I thought it was, until I found out we'd be getting around on bikes. I was in 7th grade and had never even attempted to ride a bike. I now had a month to learn. Flash forward to mid-October 2017, I could get the bike to move if I focused just enough, but I trailed at least half a mile behind my friends at all times and took a number of hard falls within this long week. And as you can most likely imagine, my soon-to-be 13-year-old self thought that my life was over. I would never live down the embarrassment of this beach trip. Gracie and Julia probably won't even look at me when we get back to school on Monday. I know what you're all thinking. Emerson, it seems like everything turned out perfectly fine. And yeah, it did, but how much of that perfectly fine came from my extensive worrying about whether or not I'd be dressed correctly or say the right thing at the right time? And on top of that, how much of that worrying was really worth it? I'll tell you, none. Fitting in means finding a place where you, just you, fit in. Nothing has to change. I have since learned that in order to feel like I belong in a new space, new situation, new crowd, or new environment, I do not have to abandon that of the old. In fact, bringing your unique lived experiences to a place where no one else can quite relate is so important. I may not be the top of my class or the star on any sports team, but I know that the individual facets of my personality that I've gained through every person and place I've interacted with have given me the opportunity to fit into infinitely more groups. So, if I leave you with anything today, whether you'll be going away to college in a few months or not, let it be this. Do not be afraid to branch out and make those new friends. Join that new club. Refrain from switching out of a class because you have no friends in it, because fitting in never has to mean abandoning yourself. It's only an opportunity to become an even more intricate version. Even though I'm slightly nervous and unsure about what's to come in Knoxville, I know that I will always be the only child, know it all, can't ride a bike or play sports, works at Gibson's, St. Mary's girl. Thank you.